you have a $140 decision to make. You take the orange pill. You get the best ATTE ever, with the side of LEGO's worst clone troopers. You take the red pill. You get Padme.
Today I'm comparing two of the most highly demanded clone sets of the last decade, the Summer 2022 ATTE and the Summer 2023 Coruscant Guard Gunship. And thanks to today's sponsor Rakuten, I'll be able to explain how you can save money when buying these later in the video.
The ATTE stayed true to its roots, sticking with its normal color scheme. However, the Republic Gunship did not, opting for the Coruscant Guard variant. This prompted concern that unlike the ATTE, buying multiples for your clone army might not be a viable option, but in the Clone Wars there are about a dozen Coruscant Guard gunships. Both of these sets have the same retail price at $140, but the Coruscant Guard gunship does include one extra piece compared to the ATTE. To score these sets, we'll start by comparing the minifigures. The ATTE included 8, while the Coruscant Guard gunship only includes 5. The truth there is that LEGO doesn't even consider battle droids minifigs though, so it's really 5 and 5. However, most people would likely value the battle droids as minifigs anyway, and so 8v5 is a valid way to look at it. Commander Cody is far better than Commander Fox, as he sports an accurate chest compared to the inaccurate chest on Fox. He doesn't need a waist cape, and thus doesn't have the bad-looking printed waist cape like Fox has, and he even gets a unique clone faceprint underneath. Commander Cody goes in the good pile, and Commander Fox goes in the ugly pile. Next we have our non-commanders, with the Gunner and 212th Trooper from the Walker, and the Shock Trooper from the Gunship. None of these look particularly pretty due to the addition of helmet warts, which were introduced to allow for visors on characters like Cody and Fox, but do not work for regular troopers here. On top of that, it created a printing problem for the top of these troopers' helmets, where on the 212th helmet and the Gunner helmet, you can see the print bows out and away from the fin, and specifically on the 212th helmet completely removes any semblance of accuracy that it would have had in prior years, and even on the box art for this set. Fortunately, the Shock Trooper avoids that issue just by virtue of its design not needing to be printed in the same way, and so the Shock Trooper inherently looks far better than what we saw with the other two figures here. Ultimately though, the Shock Troopers, because of the helmet holes, I still think belong in the bad category, while the 212th definitely go in the ugly category, and the Clone Gunner, because it's not as bad as the 212th, I would say, will end up in the bad category. Finally, we have the battle droids versus Palpatine and Padme. I only have one issue between all of these characters with the accuracy, outside of like Padme's outfit not making sense for the Coruscant gunship specifically, but her faceprint is a reuse of Jyn Erso's faceprint, so it's not an accurate Padme faceprint like we have had in years past. This is definitely an example of LEGO just being cheap. There's no defense of it. While Commander Cody is nice and definitely better than Fox, I have to say overall, I think the Coruscant gunship minifigures are just better. The Padme and Palpatine probably go a long way there. Also, when your battle droids are better than most your clone troopers, you're doing something wrong. Now, when it comes to play features, the ATTE actually has the first advantage in the form of its, albeit inaccurate, companion in the Spider Droid. It's just something that can totally oppose the ATTE. I mean, not very effectively, it's tiny, but it is something that you can have create essentially a battle with the Walker, and so I think that's a really good play feature, and the Coruscant Guard Gunship does not have that. Now, of course, both sets have stud shooters. The gunships can be found on both wings, and the ATTEs can be found on either side of the main cannon. The main cannon can also be moved up and down, spin 360 degrees, and you can even place a minifigure in to man it. When it comes to piloting these things, there are 2 cockpit seats on the gunship to place your shock troopers, and then when it comes to the ATTE, you actually slide the front bit out, and there's an actual seat to be found in there. Around the cockpits for both sets are the bubble turrets, which can be moved in any direction you like to shoot at enemies. Carrying both sets can be accomplished by using the built-in handles. Both of them are very strong and good at what they do. You can also fly the gunship around pretty adequately without using the handle. It's a very strong build, and the ATTE you can also make walk without using the handle. The front section of the ATTE is easily accessible by opening all the panels, and inside you'll find removable seating for 2 clone troopers, as well as a removable rack with a couple of thermal detonators. A very good front interior section. The same cannot be said for the Coruscant Guard Gunship, whose front section can be opened, but you'll find absolutely nothing there. It's a really sad sight to see. The rear of the Walker has seating for 5 more, along with a weapons rack and a fire extinguisher. You'll also see a control column that allows you to pretend to control the ball turrets on the back of the walker. Meanwhile, on the gunship, the troop bay is easily accessible by just pushing the doors back. It's a really easy and fun play feature to use, and you can place a couple clones on the inside. I feel like you can't place as many clones in the gunship as you can in the ATTE because the gunship is kind of limited by the fact that the door will knock into clone troopers when it closes. On the back of the gunship, you'll find a couple of storage boxes, a rear turret, and a ramp that feels empty. I don't think the play disparity is massive here. I think if you were buying this as a gift for a kid, they're gonna have a fun time either way, but if I had to pick one over the other, I would certainly lean towards the ATTE. I just feel like it's a more complete package as a playset. Now, this video is sponsored by Rakuten, and they're here to save you money if you decide to buy one of these LEGO sets. But since they're the largest cashback site, they could also get you money back at over 3,500 of the biggest name brand stores like Kohl's, Walmart, Target, and Lego.com, all at no cost to you. It's just money back in your pocket. All you have to do is just click through the links on Rakuten and then shop on the store's website like you normally would, or you can use the browser extension, which makes the process a little bit easier, and it can pop up to remind you so that you can get more money back if you end up buying things. This Labor Day, you can get triple cash back at some of your favorite stores by shopping through Rakuten. Sign up by clicking the link in the description below and get a $30 sign up bonus when you make a qualifying purchase that could potentially include one of these two sets. When it comes to the displayability and design of these two models, I think the gunship does have a leg up in one area, despite having no legs, on the ATTE, and that's the striking dark red color that is present all throughout the build. It's a color scheme we don't commonly see on LEGO Star Wars sets, unlike the ATTE, which kind of fits in with the typical memes of every LEGO Star Wars set being gray. I find the ATTE to be exceptionally accurate. It's about a perfect design at this scale. Obviously, a UCS set would trump it, but it looks very good and has a lot of unique aspects on this build that previous models of the ATTE didn't have. The same, much like that front interior section, can't be said for the gunship. This is a smaller model of a gunship than we've ever had before, and it definitely shows in certain areas, especially with the proportionality of where the cockpits are. And then as that transitions into the back section of the gunship, there's basically like a whole little section that seems to be missing from the gunship that they chopped out so that the gunship could be this size. It doesn't look particularly bad, but it's certainly missing something that should be there and would be there if they would have just made this set cost like $20 more and put in the adequate pieces. They also messed up the doors on this gunship. It's supposed to be two doors that open in opposite directions. However, it's just one big door that opens to the rear. Not only is this an accuracy issue, it's bad for the design because you can't access the full interior very easily, as you saw me fiddling with the minifigs earlier. So I consider that to be a huge flaw for those two reasons, but it's not all bad because they did get the white striping down on the door, and that looks quite nice. And despite it barely being visible in the show, they also have the Republic logo on the back left of the gunship. I don't think either of these are poorly designed sets. I mean, clearly a lot of thought went into this gunship. It's a very strong model that looks generally good, but the gunship has flaws, whereas I don't see flaws with the ATTE. So in that way, I think for the design and display category, although that's not a bad display set, just overall design, the ATTE is going to take the cake. When it comes to your money, I think it's pretty obvious that the gunship is the better value because it has an extra piece, and thus the price per piece is better, and that's the only thing that matters. Oh right, it's not. I feel like all the extra stuff included in each set definitely tilts in the direction of the walker. There's just a lot more included for your money, but I feel like the minifigure quality for your money is particularly poor in the ATTE, but the Commander Fox doesn't have much of a leg to stand on either. He looks atrocious as well. So I think there's pretty equal gripes to be had with both of these sets as far as the quality of the minifigures for your money. The size of these sets is about the same, both being $140. You're getting about the same size thing, just obviously in different shapes. But going back to the quality of the build, the ATTE sets itself apart as we showed earlier in this comparison. The gunship is nice and has some cool amenities, but it doesn't touch the level of near perfection that the ATTE does. It's something where the gunship, if it costs $20 or $30 more, could have been the perfect model that the ATTE has turned out to be, but it's just not. They just didn't do that, and for that reason, I think if you're really on the edge trying to pick between the two, I would lean towards the ATTE being a better value for your money. The gunship just feels like they skimped out in a few places to be able to make it cost the same as the Walker when it really shouldn't have been. And history's on my side with that claim too. Every historical combo of ATTE and Republic Gunship has had the ATTE as the cheaper set by $20 or $30, but now as they're the same price, you can see it just doesn't work for the gunship. Now for my opinion category, I just want to throw out some hot takes on these LEGO Star Wars sets. LEGO Star Wars designers claiming they didn't even consider a crab droid in lieu of a spider droid shows how out of touch they are. Commander Cody is the only good minifigure in this set, and this one might be too hot, but I'm not sure UCS ATT would be better than this build. They get hotter. The stud shooters are okay. Making this an irregular gunship was an excellent choice. And Commander Fox just might be the worst clone trooper LEGO has ever made. So in my opinion, the ATT is the better set, and according to this chart, the ATT is the better set by a score of 4-1. I think the optimal strategy is to buy the ATT first anyway, because it's currently on sale for about $112, and then hopefully in a year from now, the Coruscant Guard gunship will be on sale for a similar price, and you'll be able to save even more money on that too. Don't forget to use today's sponsor, RAKUTEN, if you decide you want to buy one of these $140 LEGO Star Wars Republic sets and save yourself some extra money. Use the link in the description below, and you can check out more LEGO Star Wars comparisons on the end screen now.